in the talk. First off, I want to start again and say thanks everyone for coming. It takes amazing people to support amazing people, so let's start with a round of applause. Like I said last time, and if you weren't here, if there's anyone that you think deserves to be up here, if you think you deserve to be up here, please come up to me at any chance and nominate yourself, nominate someone, and just shoot me an email or just come talk to me, and it helps me get a variety of people in here, and so if you could do that, that helps a lot. And then also, before we get started, the next Tuesday Toast on October 29th will be Exie Guardardo, I think I said her name right, and she does work with OLA and a lot of work with Latino women and children, so she's going to come and talk next time. So before I get started, these are the three lovely men, and these three men are the leaders of the Good Man's Initiative, which is a student-led organization that facilitates discussion about what it means to be a man on Sewanee's campus. They are from different places and are studying different things, yet they share this goal of building Sewanee stronger. So without further ado, I present to you all the leaders of the Good Man Initiative.
Pleasure and honor to be here. We actually had an event about 2 weeks ago, and Dr. Potter was our guest, and before we started, we had a poem that we read. It's by Reverend Kipling. It's his poem to his son, entitled F. We have another poem picked out to share.
Yeah, continuing with that theme.
Tradition.
And there are many different themes throughout the poem, but you'll find that there's one of direction and kind of knowing who you are and also having confidence in your actions, which pervades. So without further ado, Ralph going to start us off.
It's called Self-Reliance by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Henceforth, please God, forever I forego the yoke of men's opinions. I will be light-hearted as a bird and live with God. I find him in the bottom of my heart. I hear continually his voice therein.
The little needle always knows the north. The little bird remembereth his note. In this wise, seer within me never errs. I never taught it what it teaches me. I only follow when I act aright.
And when I am entombed in my place, be it remembered of a single man, he never, though he dearly loved his race, for fear of human eyes, swerved from his plan.
Oh, what is heaven but the fellowship of minds that each can stand against the world by its own meek and incorruptible will?
The days pass over me, and I am still the same. The aroma of my life is gone, with the flower with which it came.
So with that, we are the Good Man Initiative, and we felt that there are many poets and authors who have articulated in all sorts of words the things that we aim to do. And so today we're just going to say a few things, one about what the Good Man Initiative is, why we are fortunate to be in our second year and moving strong with a lot of momentum, and what brought us here, so why we wanted to be kind of the core of this initiative, if you will. And then maybe at the end, where we're going and future events. If you have questions, we can answer them. I'm only able to stick around for a few minutes, unfortunately, because I have class, which I'm missing right now, which is both wonderful and frightening. But anyways, I guess I'll start. I'm Charlie Hughes, by the way. Y'all don't know who I am. I grew up in Philadelphia, was fortunate enough to have a family that really cared about me, and we were close, although not necessarily so close that we knew a lot about each other's private lives. And then so for an example, my brother and I never really talked about girls to each other until like maybe a year and a half ago. Turns out he likes a lot of girls. But so I went to boarding school in Delaware, and I think that's really where the morals behind the Good Man Initiative were really instilled in me. In a community of 300, you really get to understand who everyone is and therefore trust a lot of people. And sometimes that can be deceiving because you come to a place that's bigger, albeit only 5 times the size, such as Sewanee, and you have alcohol and there are drugs and all these different things that really play an impact. So while community is still a big emphasis, people may act differently, under the influence of certain things and in certain situations, and that can be disappointing. I ran into that wall a couple of times in my freshman year. So, in that sense, the Good Man Initiative, to me, because it means different things to all of us, if you will, really deals with a sense of accountability, and that's not, kicking people's kneecaps who do wrong. It's really just creating positive peer pressure and helping people realize that there is a positive culture here. And then hopefully within that, you kind of drown out bad experiences. So I've been fortunate enough to be here with Ben and Oliver and several others, create events that bring role models of our community, men and women, and show what they, through experience, have learned about what a good man is. People who have meant a lot to them. So we did have our first event of this year with Brandon Potter, and his take on things. Dr. Potter is known as one of the kind of idols of Swanee, if you will. So to hear from someone like that is really interesting, because they'll tell you kind of things from the other side. The idols that the idols have, which is not something that I get to hear very often. But I've had conversations with bandmates, with close friends, with fraternity members and whatnot, because we're not an anti-fraternity organization, as has come across at some points apparently. And all those conversations mention times where guys have felt ashamed to be associated with certain actions that have kind of overwhelmed the Swanee culture, where there's some moral standards sometimes. And I was at a show, or playing a show a couple weeks ago, and my bandmate and I looked out in the crowd, and we saw that there were 2 or 3 different instances where girls clearly didn't want to be with the guys that they were with, and they were just dancing, but the guys were a little bit more forceful than probably is acceptable. And here we were playing the music that almost facilitated these things, and it really was interesting from this sort of discussion that 4 days later it came up when we were just talking and playing pool, and we felt bad for facilitating that sort of stuff. And I think the Good Man Initiative really just provides a support group for those who maybe just be doing the right things, the status quo as it should be. So I guess that's really my story. I think the Good Man Initiative has a lot of momentum and great places to go, and I'm really excited about it. And I've got great guys with me and great girls. So with that, here's Oliver.
So I'll start off with what does the Good Man Initiative mean to me? To me, Good Man is community. I think that's kind of the foundation of what this is. And that is founded on challenging the individual to better themselves. And that's something I find very meaningful. So the purpose is to find community within Swanee. And this is going to happen in a variety of ways. It can be through students seeing the emails, reading the posters, hearing discussions through friends, or actually attending our events. And this increases awareness of the initiative's goal, which is improving the way men interact with those around them. Oh, this is the talking monkey.
That was my bad. You talked
So like what Charlie was saying about our last event, it was really, really special. We had, it was in the evening, Dr. Potter came to speak over this nice little fire.
Marshmallows.
We had marshmallows and s'mores, and it was really great. And I think everyone left that meeting with this this feeling of inspiration, and I'm sure it was in their minds for a few days afterwards, just thinking about just the really great things that were being said across the fire. I think a good sense of connectedness that I've never felt before was achieved in that meeting. It was really wonderful.
Yeah, when you light things on fire, something really happens.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I lit a grill on fire by accident, which is not supposed to be possible. With that, continue.
So why am I a part of Good Man? I think it's really important that men have their own organization on campus that deals with their morality because of the issue it targets. From my perspective, I can say that challenging oneself to a higher standard of living is at times seems very, very unimportant when the other influences of college are around you. So I think the Good Man initiative can influence, can provide the awareness to students on campus that morality is never to be forgotten, even though it's a Swanee expectation. And I think that's kind of, you lose that. Often when we're in college, we lose ourselves because we're trying to achieve immediate satisfaction, one form or the other. And we forget the richness that can be found in selflessness. And what's a better time to do it than at college, where we're growing, we're exploring, and we can really bring it into who we are. And then one of the things that really gives me confidence about this movement is that I believe that every person has a sense of what's right and what's wrong. I just think, to a certain degree, the question remains is how much of that sense of right and wrong is covered up by the gunk that you get when life is rushed, or more specifically in our circumstances, when we're growing up. You know, we forget things. So what Good Man does is it throws fresh light on those issues, and let's just remember again what's really important to us. So overall, it's because of the possibility of changing others, challenging others to examine themselves, that I'm part of it. So what led me to Good Man? Originally my friendship with Ben, and a general curiosity about what it means to be a man really started to surface about a year and a half ago. But I would say the past 8 months have been really critical and have given me really good insight to why it is I would want to involve myself in something like this. So I'll talk quickly about the last 8 months. Last spring I attended an acting academy in London, and as some of you know, when you go abroad, things change. Your perspectives totally change. Your priorities list just shifts. And I quickly, one thing that was really bizarre what happened was I got to London and I immediately was just burnt out of acting. I couldn't stand being there. And I focused all my energies on reading philosophy and meditating. And it was actually really, really wonderful for me. I've never read so much in my life, and I'm really glad I did, because it enlightened me to what I find really important, and it led me to 2 really unique summer experiences. For the first half of the summer, I worked at a Catholic worker in Gainesville, Florida, which is an organization started by Dorothy Day in the Great Depression, and it basically feeds a community and gives them shelter, and it also gives an example of a selfless way to live. And then one of the most influential things about that experience was the connection I made with the couple that ran it, and they really challenged me. They would always challenge my inner being to really question what does it mean to have an authentic existence. So with those experiences, I I moved up north and west to a Buddhist center in Colorado, and I was a land steward. And for over a month, I was volunteering on the land, and I went deeper into my meditation and came back to acknowledge a sense of purpose in my life, which I'd never had before. I've always just felt kind of wavy, but for once in my life, I had something that was really meaningful, and it challenged me, and that's what challenged me to really. Every day, it's been challenging me to better myself, and that idea of having a purpose is what led me to Good Man, because the wish for other people to continue to challenge me, and then also hopefully that I could challenge others and help them find their own purpose. And so that's why I'm in Good Man. That's why I am very excited about it, and that's why I'm here. So thank you.
Okay. Now I can talk. I'm Ben, and for those who don't know me, I'll give you a short and sweet, I guess, background check. So I hail from a small family with immigrant parents. And in our 3-member household, I'm an only child, and I live in Nashville. About 5 languages can be spoken. But among those 5 languages, only English is shared. I share these details with you to elaborate on a deeper or more visceral aspect of my life. I gotta say that it's been a blessing to have a family, in the first place, a family, and also a family as unique as mine, which has presented its own unique challenges and gifts, such as a love for listening and a love for problem solving. As I've matured, I've realized that one of my greatest strengths is the art of connecting. It took a lot of discernment to figure that out, and it was through the help of Ms. Heisenreiter and the other mothers at the Career Services Office that kind of led me to that point, and also provided me with the opportunities and the experiences to figure that out. To continue, I love to see how things relate and how they connect and contribute to the bigger picture, from the parallels between dance and theology to storytelling and medicine. It's a big reason why I'm pursuing medicine, as well as why I'm part of this initiative, the Good Man Initiative. And it's just entitled the Good Man Initiative, not the Good Man's Initiative. It's just the Good Man Initiative. So see, my parents are from different countries, and they're from starkly different cultures. And perceptions of manhood are quite different. For some cultures, manhood is static, like a statue with its unchanging, solely masculine attributes. And for some cultures, manhood is a bit more fluid, where a man in plain and simple English also does the dishes. Taking a backwards view of my life experiences, I found through reflection that manhood is very much an art. Just as art is about the artist and his or her relationships, so too is manhood, when you think about it. It's about himself and his relationships with his environment, his personal spirit, his friends, like you all like, family, and with women. In the words of a dear friend who graduated from here, his name is Richie Hubbard. He's a Swanee alum. He once told me over a beer at the pub he was visiting. He said, "No man is a statue." And I want to apply that idea to the Good Man Initiative. No man is a statue, and when he does assume such a state, when a man assumes a static state like that, he becomes cold and frozen. Cold, frozen, and isolated from the beauty of what it means to be human, and what it means to be a man. I'll dive deeper into that in a second. Let me continue with some experiences. So my interactions with medicine actually led me down a road to my passion regarding issues of manhood. One summer I was balancing my time between caring for my mother, who was recovering from a severe surgery. At the same time as being at home, I would do that for half the day. I'd also be at Vanderbilt's Children's Hospital, and I would be working on research regarding hemophilia carriers. Now, carriers in this case are women, because hemophilia is usually only recognized in men. But those who carry the gene for hemophilia, this bleeding disorder, are women. So my responsibilities for this research were pretty intense, especially as I was a guy. So I found myself one-on-one with mothers, asking them intimate questions about abortions, their periods, and their mental well-being. And okay, ladies, don't take this personally, but with certain mothers, the doctors who are in charge of me would text me afterwards, "Thanks, I owe you a beer." It was so cute. Every mother was so uniquely different, so uniquely beautiful, and had their own story. And some were more willing to share that story with me than others. It was very remarkable to see that. And to also garner their trust. But at home, I learned to be my mom's hands and feet, from drying her after her showers to being a homekeeper. What I learned from all this, everyone, was that being a man, being entrusted with someone's life, just in general, whether you're a man or a woman, is an enjoyable privilege requiring gentle touch and tongue, equanimity, resilience, and genuine receptivity. And Dr. Potter actually talked about receptivity in the form of listening, that good men listen, that good human beings listen to each other. It goes back to that sense of community as Charles talked about. So these skills didn't just happen to appear in my arsenal overnight, and nor, I want to emphasize, are they gender specific. And to be honest, I still have much to learn. Oh boy. But it's these moments during college, as I look back, that I've attempted to stretch my weaknesses into strengths. I've stretched my weaknesses into strengths, and I've stretched my strengths into character. And the opportunity to do so has been a real blessing, and I'm so thankful to Swanee and going above, and to my friends and family here who've been able to be on this journey with me. It's been pretty awesome. All right. One of my favorite quotes, to summarize what I've just spoken about, goes like this: "Life is simply given to man, to women, to learn how to live." It really resonates with me. So, the GMI, or the Good Man Initiative, is about exploring, discussing, and enacting our individual and collective manhood. I understand that there's a dubious paradigm of college men. Sure, I don't necessarily approve of some of the behaviors of my comrades, but I strongly refuse to speak negatively of them. There is a goodness in all of us deep down, and that's really the bare bones of this initiative. That's what the Good Men Initiative affirms. In our modern world, we've trivialized close relationships and real connection, resulting in men who stop being and ultimately stop seeing and stop doing their soul craft, whatever it may be. Freedom, which finds its roots in love and discipline, has become a buffet that's led to a severing off of disconnection of what we are. And I think an interesting metaphor is a horse caught between two equally scrumdiddly-umptious haystacks. In that sense, freedom is both liberating and imprisoning. I want us to realize the greatness of what happens every day when someone at Swanee like Sable, Paul Dixon graduated, Hope Falk, or Michelle have an idea, whether it be planting wildflowers or having egg breakfast at the greenhouse. The Good Men Initiative was a thought, a simple thought. It was a thought just like an intricate watch. When you think about it, how does a watch work? How does someone think that up? It were both thoughts before they were ultimately realized, before they came into action, before they came alive. And that's just beautiful to think about. So we're seeing this all work, all this come into being. And I have to admit that what we're doing is fresh, with kinks that need to be worked out. But thus far it's been, I gotta say, an enjoyable journey that's been fueled by kindred spirits and beautiful minds like Oliver, Charlie, B. Burgess, Danielle, Callie, and Rob. I now can say that I've witnessed Swanee's motto, behold how great it is for brothers to dwell together in unity. I think I'd add of that. I think it's beautiful to behold how great it is for brothers and sisters to dwell together. Not to sound preachy, this is my last paragraph and I'm done, okay? But we can't deny that each and every one of us is so uniquely special. We're so, I really mean it when I say this, but we are so beautiful, and for men, we're handsome, we're so capable, we are so lovable. We are so infinitely deep and so deeply connected, and life's, I learned, and I'm still learning, is about realizing and cultivating this, being comfortable in our own skins, in our own sexuality, so that we can dance with whomever, whenever, and wherever. Manhood for me is about reversing the stereotyped qualities and hierarchies of sexuality. It's about sharing the lead in a dance and learning from the other, from your partner. It's about being strong in a variety of roles that are both masculine and feminine. So it's being strong in these roles and settings, but remaining grounded, faithful, and genuine. Being present. And this is ultimately my vision for the Good Man Initiative, and I hope it resonates with you all. Thank you.
Before I have to run off for class because I'm about 30 minutes late, on behalf of the Good Man Initiative, I'd like to say hello, YouTube. This is our introduction to the real world. I'm told there are millions of other people on the other side. So, I love you guys, and thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thank you all.
Here,
Before Charlie runs off, Charlie, if you need to run off, but I want to open the floor to anyone that has questions, ask away for them.
Yeah.
Anything. I have a question. What's the next event?
Okay, so
Lighting stuff on fire.
bodies are on fire. Right. So we had the event with Dr. Potter, and I was just thinking about this when we walked in. Having another event where both the men and women are invited, and I was going to share Dr. Potter's speech, and have it at the Swanee McGriff Alumni House, and we'd have some food and drinks, and just talk, and a little circle, and have some conversation and debate, and hugs and laughs.
Kisses.
Kisses, why not? Kisses. I think the next event would be like a formal, maybe with the center. Kind of like the brewing with the bros thing that's going on.
Shout out.
There she is.
Hi.
Some
muffins out.
But something similar along those lines, about having like a little interaction between the Women's Center and this initiative. And then I think we were talking about man skills, right?
Yeah.
Man skills.
Yeah.
Lighting stuff on fire, chopping wood,
Yes.
swing dancing.
Yeah. Mixing the right kind of drink for the right kind of occasion.
Or the wrongs.
We have this idea of man skills 101. So besides just having conversations about manhood, diving into morality and the mental processes of being who we are, I think it's so interesting to get our hands on things. And I think each of us, there are many people involved in this initiative, and if you want to know who's involved, let me know afterwards. But each person brings their own strengths. I think that's so neat. For example, John Lampley is an Eagle Scout. He's amazing in the outdoors, beyond being an awesome critical thinker. And John will teach, I think, a Man Skills 101 on perhaps making a camping trip, going for the logistics of making a camping trip. Chopping wood, yes. Starting a fire, things that I think we should know how to do, getting in touch with them. And then Oliver's awesome with, he's an actor, a sensational actor at that, I witnessed it. And he is so comfortable in the most unusual of environments, and I think it's so good for, I think, human beings to be able to be comfortable in various environments. So perhaps having an improv session as a main skill. So there you go.
Yeah, the main initiative is supposed to be fun. Discussion is discussion, but it's also kind of the logistics, if you will. There's also, people want to learn how to do these skills. We might as well have fun showing them and have fun learning. There's someone else.
Can
Yes,
women
love you
go
all.
to the man skills?
I'm so
thing?
late. What is it?
I said, can women go to the man skills thing? I like lighting things on fire too.
I think so.
Okay.
Are you accepting proposals for these men skills workshops?
Yes. Yes, we are.
Hey, Ben, I really liked the, I guess, like, analogy you used with, like, a statue and how no one is, like, really a statue. So how do you all plan to reach out to people who are having more difficulty realizing this, and men who may be in more of that static state, and reaching out to them to kind of get involved in the initiative, and be a part of it?
That's an exceptional question. I think that's one of the greatest challenges we have. We are pretty fresh, we're pretty new. It's going to be a slow process of acquiring, I guess, support from those who are very interested, as well as from those who may not be so warm to what we're doing or aware of what we're doing. I think a key to resolving that would be by having more events, by talking about this in the lightest of senses. Do you see where I'm going with that? Like just increasing discussion. And perhaps one day the Good Man Initiative will have its own program within orientation. And most Sewanee men will have to somehow get involved with it. That'd be really neat. But as for right now, I think we're gonna focus on garnering support as well as trying to reach as many people as possible, both individually and as a group. Anything to add?
Yeah, I think just adding more community to the initiative will make guys that initially wouldn't be confident enough to do something like this, confident enough to do something like this. I think it's just, cause I know that people want to be good, but sometimes it's a little daunting. I know from my own experience. So I think just building community support for an initiative like this will bring more people into it. So, yeah.
Any more questions?
Dr. Nasser?
Yeah, I was curious, and this is sort of a broad question, but just thinking long term, a few years down the road, what would you all like to see different here as a function of the Good Man Initiative? I know, it's a big question.
We'll have to talk about this over the tavern tomorrow. Do you have anything you want to add first? I can.
Go for it first.
I'm good, I guess I'll do it. All right. Dr. Nasir, I think Hope is right now implementing a women's program for orientation, right? The body program?
Oh, my project? Well, it's not during orientation, it'll happen in January, yeah.
Okay. I think it'd be really neat to have something similar to, all of us students have to go through orientation modules online about drinking and alcohol. And also, many students go through pre. And each one has its own strengths. And I would love to see in the next coming years, perhaps maybe like a retreat for guys, kind of like a residential staff retreat. Retreat for men to get out and just to be with each other, and also have opportunities to interact with them as well. So I would love to see that happen, as well as just seeing this grow, and people just knowing about it in the first place.
Have you considered trying to integrate the Good Men Initiative into FYP or maybe even into Rush?
I think isn't Havey, he's kind of on board with that. Isn't he?
We've talked about that.
Regarding FYP, it's just gotten on its feet. And Dr. McGrath has faced a lot of resistance trying to get that on its feet. But I would love to be able to talk with her, and I can definitely do that. I know that in some universities, I'll add, some universities like the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, I have a good friend, her name is Bairnwick, and she started what's called Sex Week. It garnered a lot of attention because it actually was she was interviewed on Fox and by the Huffington Post, I believe, because she was taking it was kind of controversial, but the money that she was using for this Sex Week to garner discussion on sex, on gender, on abuse, was kind of controversial. Some of the alumni who was donating this money, they didn't want it to go towards this. Because of the vocabulary that was surrounding the event, and I thought it was very interesting. That something that opens up discussion, that opens up dialogue, opens us up to each other, sorry. It should be a good thing, but sometimes I guess people don't see that. But she would like to partner with us, and perhaps maybe even share some ideas about how to make a sex week, maybe here at Sewanee, or make a gender week at Sewanee. We can have a pretty intense time of just garnering and increasing this awareness.
Okay, I have one more question too. With saying that, would you all be interested in teaming up kind of with like the Gender and Sexual Diversity House and talking to them and opening a forum to where how does the Good Man's Initiative affect someone on campus who doesn't, recognize with the gender? And how does this affect them, and ways to kind of intermingle that and deal with the interpretations and relationships that you were talking about?
So, make sure I understand, how does the Good Man relate with the Gender House?
Or how would you kind of like, you're for facilitating conversation with men on campus, so how do you facilitate, just to do the opposite, how do you facilitate conversation with someone who doesn't even recognize with the gender? And how does that affect you all in your initiative and just like how you do things in a way?
Well, first off, I would say that Good Man is, a lot of our events are going to be good man and woman.
Good people.
Yeah, good people. I don't think it's really that exclusive. I would like to get more aware of the people on campus who don't identify with the gender, because I would like to contact them personally and say, you're welcome. So I think that's thank you for bringing that up. And then you said, and then things like with the Straight Gay Alliance and I don't think we need to say this, we're pretty open to whatever floats your boat. So it should be the open Good Man Initiative.
Yeah.
So just to throw this out, your first event was men only, and as a woman, I see value in y'all having meetings that are men only. But how do you explain the importance of that to other people and to women that might have trouble with that, if that makes sense?
Hocus pocus. Well, there is no such thing as the bro code, according to learning How I Met Your Mother, so we don't have that as an excuse. No laughs there. Okay, I think just as hit it.
So I would first ask that person, like, I mean, would they find value in all women's conference? That would be like my first, go-to. They would say no, but then I would explain why I find value in an all men's conference. And it's because certain issues revolve around certain genders. And you can get to the heart of it a lot faster, with a lot less superficial stuff on the surface, when you're not worrying about the hot girl sitting next to you. So that would be kind of my difference.
There's a book called Women Are from Venus and Men Are from Mars, right? It's on, it's a copy of it online, it's a PDF, and there is an outline of why we are, as sexual beings, different from each other, and it's, I think Oliver pin the tail on the donkey. There are issues surrounding sex that should be dealt with within the same sex.
But shouldn't the goal be to actually break down those barriers? I mean, isn't that, I'm sort of confused about your mission, that on one hand you're talking about man skills, and on the other hand you're talking about open, honest relationships with other people, including women, and I'm not quite clear how those mesh together, or if they're even compatible.
Well, I would say that you have to understand yourself before you can understand others. And like what Ben just said about the two sexes being different, the way to understand, I think a good theory of a way to understanding what it means to be a man is to be around other men and learn from them. And with that, you begin to understand who you are. And then you can help others, and then you can relate to others a lot more effectively.
And I think I'd also add one thing. I don't know if you've read the book Iron John, Dr. Bairnwick, right?
Yes, I'm familiar.
So you've read Iron John?
Yeah.
Okay. In Iron John, he discusses the definition of manhood or masculinity, and he compares it to a dance. And I'm forgetting what kind of dance I think it's the tango, but he describes this dance, and it's a beautiful, culturally passionate dance where the man and the woman are dancing with each other. And at times, they come together, and at times they are apart, and they're doing their own moves. When they're together, they're imitating each other, they're interacting, communicating, and talking with their bodies. And when they're apart, they're both unique in their own way. And I think that's, on a deeper level, that's kind of a way I would illustrate our mission. Is that it's kind of like a dance in a way that there are times when I need to break off from my partner and really embrace my sexuality. And then after that, there are times when I come back with my partner and I have that dialogue. So, understood about the barrier. That is a kind of unusual.
I guess what I'm thinking about is the idea that you need to be with men to know what it means to be a man. But at the same time, you've been talking about each individual finding their own individuality. And I guess I am skeptical about the notion that there is such a thing as an essential manhood or an essential womanhood. And I think that certainly we all have masculine and feminine traits. The problem would be that our culture doesn't really allow us to express those traits that don't match with our biological sex. So, I would just, urge you to, when you talk about man skills and you talk about being with men to learn what it is to be a man, I think that what you were talking about, the time you spent by yourself figuring out who you were, that suggests an openness to find out who you are, male, female, what are you as an individual, and that sort of manliness, I think I'm speaking for the feminists in the room, talking about manliness as a sort of constant has not served women historically very well.
Yeah.
I wondered too, just following up on what Dr. Bairnwick said, that we know, from the psychological literature that in terms of sexual identity, that those who identify as more androgynous actually tend to have higher rates of well-being. So I wonder if reconceptualizing man skills to incorporate sort of a broader diversity of less socialized traditional man skills would be useful. Particularly thinking about your goal of connection, because I think the way that men are socialized, it's difficult for them to connect as a function of sort of those ideas that are set up for them. So I think maybe breaking down the skills or broadening the skills a bit might be useful.
Changing the vocabulary to a certain extent, how we're
Yeah,
advertising it.
perhaps.
Yeah, thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Well, thank you all so much for coming in here and showing us your passion and your inspiration, and thank you for putting up with these hard questions and difficult questions. And for that, we do want to toast you. So can we toast them for trying something hard on campus Tuesday? And like I said, in 2 weeks, Exie, who just came in, will be speaking on October 29th about our work with COLA. So we hope to see you all there. I said that wrong. Sorry. Thank you all so much for coming.
And Good Man's Initiative, do you all have a Facebook page that we can like and follow and?
Yes, we do.
Awesome.